I sat here last year in your seats, I thought it's quite daunting, isn't it, picking one idea? That must be quite hard. So I surprised myself a bit by picking one quite quickly. I was a bit smug. And then I had a chat with my dad, and I told him, and he just started laughing. I thought, that's not a good start, is it? But as an Irishman, where's the clicker gone? Not on the right-hand side. No, that's dropped. Open fundraising, it's a bit of a tradition. Anyway, he laughed, and I got a bit unnerved. But as he's an Irishman, he didn't miss the irony of what I'd selected. The Irish stereotype takes many different forms. I won't go on, but there are lots. I think the one that is most appropriate is our love of a good time and drink. I was practically raised in bars. I think there's 3 in our family, the last count. So he found it a bit ludicrous that I would stand up here and talk about an idea that essentially is about giving up drink. If you haven't worked it out already, the idea I wish I'd thought of is Cancer Research UK's triathlon. Promise that we're not being paid to promote their activities. It launched 2 years ago. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but the idea is that you give up drink for the whole month of January. You get sponsored to do it. It's not really a new idea in itself. It's been done in Australia, like most things have. It's been done by Alcohol Concern, who are much smaller, of course, and of course Macmillan do it now too. But I chose triathlon a little bit because I love the name. I think it's really clever, but also because it's phenomenally successful. £10 million to date, just under half of that within its launch year, which is impressive by any standard. But of course there was more to it than that, and I'm going to talk to you about how it was strategic, how it targeted a specific audience, and how they kept that audience really at the front of their mind the whole way through when they were developing the creative, when they did the media planning, and even when they thought about the technology. And that ensured that for every bit of awareness and engagement that they generated, it turned into as much money as possible, which is the key. One of their strategic objectives is to attract more people like this, men aged 25 to 45. They don't have enough of them in their supporter base. They have a cause that's, relevant to most people, and they see the success of things like Movember. I think Movember was just over the £25 million mark in the UK last year. So they needed to find the right offer for this group of people so that they could gain their support. They undertook loads of research, as you would expect a big charity like that to do, and came up with some insight on the audience. And the core insight that drove this event was this: men are willing to support charity as long as it is low involvement, drives personal benefit, and facilitates banter with friends. I kid you not, this is the insight. And people say women are really shallow. Well, I don't know. The brief was to target young men, but not to exclude females, I should add. And this one strong human insight was turned into a creative idea, and the rest is history. 75% of the audience they discovered had given up drink before. And I think piggybacking on existing behaviour is really a bad place to start, but I'd be doing them a bit of an injustice if I was to commend them only for that. It was like any good product, completely audience-led from top to tail. It was ads like this that launched the event, and I should add that it launched just 1 month before, so on the 3rd of December, which I think was quite ballsy, really. But obviously they'd done their working out, and that was the thing to do. Lots of PR. The key thing about ads like this is how it's all about willpower, and I didn't have time to show you everything else, but the key message is that it's a challenge, and it's fun, and it's not too worthy, and it's not too serious. And it is, there's mention of feeling better and saving money and of course the cause, but they're all very much secondary. It launched in men's magazines, and they had a big tie-in with Men's Fitness, who provided a lot of editorial content for the launch year and sort of ideas for what you could be doing to keep yourself occupied while you're not in the pub. But of course, now that it's into its 2nd year, you may have seen it's on TV, it's in cinema, on the radio, etc. From the outset, the tone of voice was completely different. It was nothing like Cancer Research UK normally sounds, no offence. But it was very much talking young lads' language. It was all about mates and being epic and a legend and going, coming off the sauce and all this kind of stuff. They didn't edit that type of thing at all, and it was a bit tongue-in-cheek and a bit cheesy, but I think that's what made it appealing to so many people who did it. And on the landing page, they used fun little tools like the alcohol calculator, which I've got on here for you to see. So in the bottom, you can see you put in how many pints you have in a month, glasses of wine, I don't know what that bottle is, bottles of vodka, shots, and just to the right, it shows you what that costs you in pounds over the month and what it costs you in calories. This is absolutely terrifying. I don't know anyone would want to do that, but I guess that's what the audience wanted, something fun and something to create a bit of banter so you could share it straight back into those social networks. They had separate standalone pages for Triathlon which was lucky. I think they had a bit of a fight, but it was lucky they did so because they realized that 80% of the audience weren't in any of their existing CRUK pages. So that was a vital thing. And also they could use that tone of voice to full effect. There was loads of digital assets. This is a digital event. I'm sure most of you have worked out. There was Facebook cover pictures, email signatures that you could use, but it wasn't all online. There was a welcome pack, or as they called it, a training pack, just to keep in with that lingo. There was a wristband. I'm going to try this thing. There we go. There was a wristband, which a little bit like the Facebook pictures and email signatures is just a way of telling everyone around you that you're doing it. And if you do that, then it's really hard to back out of something. And posters and beer mats to help promote. This was good, I think, for this welcome pack. The golden pass, if you signed up to it, and like you sign up to direct debits, and then you think, oh, not sure I should have done that. You sign up to this event, and then you think, oh, actually, that's a bit hard. You get your golden pass, which is a 20 quid donation, allows you to have a night off. It's a little bit like how the Irish can drink on St. Patrick's Day. Anyone else know that? It's true. You give up drink for Lent, but you can drink on St. Patrick's Day. There's also a little card called, that says on there, Minds of Donation, and that was a text card. So it was all Just Given pages behind all this, which I'll come on to in a second, but you had your individual Just Given text code, and when someone offered you a drink, you could flash the card, credit-sized in your wallet, and say, actually, instead, you can text 3 quid or 5 quid or whatever it was you normally drank, and the value of that was, and that would contribute to your total. The Just Given end of this and how they integrated setting up a page into the registration process was actually one of the cleverest things they did, and it's quite difficult to show in this context. But they were the first to integrate the Just Given API into their triathlon site, which meant that setting up a Just Given page didn't become a maybe after you said you'd do it. It became part and parcel of saying you'd do the event. And of course, there were some pages that sat, I'm sure, with zeros, but it significantly upped the remittance rate. And it meant that they raised more money. It also allowed, having that API joined up, meant that they could have pages like this for teams. And teams weren't a huge number of the overall total. I think about 5% of the total participants were teams, but they were much more valuable than individual participants. And they had live leaderboards like this, so they could feel a bit of competition. I love the names. Can we just take a minute to look at the names? We Love Boozing, Not Drinking Responsibly, all gets a bit pub quiz. They looked after their teams and individuals really well when they did feel a bit of competition. So here were rewards. The trophy cabinet, something they used in launch year. So every time that you passed a fundraising milestone, you got a different symbol. They got a 60% open rate on the emails that told people about these different trophies that they'd got. So it's safe to say they were going down a storm. And for those who did open the email and enjoy it and know what it was all about, they raised 40% more. So they were clearly working. I think we need to ask one more question of this event, and that is whether it met its strategic objective. And it did, which is good. Over half the participants were men, which is not an easy task given the position that they started from. They are now the nation's first, as it says on this ad. And if you look on the website for next year, it says they are the original month-long test of Will Power. But like I said in the beginning, this wasn't really their idea. It's been done before. But they are, in many people's minds, the original. And that wasn't really an accident. I heard something quite revealing about Triathlon's launch in preparing for this that not many people know about, apart from Nick, who's out there somewhere. The launch was supposed to be quite discreet. It was supposed to be just in Manchester to sort of trial the idea. But at the 11th hour, quite literally, someone at Cancer Research UK got a Macmillan email. It was a donor email, and in it there was a survey garnering opinion on what they'd think about the idea of giving up drink for an event, which we now know to be Go Sober. And so overnight, in the knowledge that Macmillan were on the same track, they didn't know when, they didn't know how, they didn't know where. They doubled the budget, took it into Manchester and London and the South East so that it felt national, even though it wasn't national. And the PR machine obviously went into gear, and they wanted to own the space, and that was a deliberate decision. So I think the moral of the story, as well as knowing your audience, tailoring your offer, and all the stuff about technology, is, as has been said already, be agile, and be brave. It's really, really difficult to have an original idea, but if you can do it first and do it brilliantly, I think you can still innovate. And the other moral of the story is, of course, that if you have a good idea, don't hang about. Someone else will do it, and they will do it well. That's it.